Hello, it's me again, Dion Ison. Remember me from video one, from observation video one? Well, I'm back for observation video two. This is my introduction. I'm so glad to have met Dr. Mouton, my field supervisor, and I look forward to submitting this next video to her and to the staff for the 5398 for review. And this is my introduction. Once again, my name is Dion Ison, and I'm a fourth grade teacher at Savannah Lakes Elementary School in Rocheron, Texas. My site supervisor is Mr. Garnett Foster, who is also my principal. And this school that we work at in Rocheron, Savannah Lakes, it has about 772 students, of which about 440 of them are economically disadvantaged. So that averages out to about 57% of the students are economically disadvantaged. And the school is in kind of like a fringe rural area, nice houses on one side of the street, and then not too far down the next block or down the next street, you have what we would call trailer parks or, the economically disadvantaged section of the city that we support their students. There is a 93% minority rating at the school, where 42% of the students are African-American, and about 40% of them are Hispanic, 7% white, 6% Asian. So we working in a diverse culture. However, the majorities of the students are either Hispanic or African-American. As I stated previously, there's a 57% economically disadvantaged rating at the school. And that's pretty much the total makeup of the free and reduced lunches as well, about 56%. So roughly about 57 are on the free and reduced lunch program. There are 58 full-time teachers, and there is an average class ratio of 13 students to one teacher. I love working at this school. I've been here about 4 years. And my next step, of course, is to an administrative level. But I love this community. We do a lot. We just had our Black History program last night, and it was amazing. The students showed up. They showed out. The parents were excited. It's been a great start to 2023 overall. But we're looking at, when we look at math proficiency and reading proficiency, in the past year overall, we've scored about 45% for math, which is about 7% below the district. The district scored about 52% on the last STAR test, and the school, Savannah Lakes, we scored at about 45%. So we have a little bit of work to do, and we're about 4% below the state average, which was 49. So we do have some things in place, and especially with what we're doing now for video two, I hope that we can create an activity for teaching or learning that can inspire or help the teachers or the students to close some learning gaps and lead towards student achievement. For reading, we were at 46% last year on the STAR test for the 2022 STAR, which was about 2% below the district. So we're doing a lot better in reading than we are math right now, but we're making strides, and we're doing some things to kind of cover that ground that we may have missed over the last year or so. And we're actually 1% higher than the state rating for reading. The state was about 45%, so we had about 46. So the reading department is doing a pretty good job of staying in competition with the district and the state, and pushing those children to achieve high standards and achieve high expectations. I look forward to working with my team that you're going to see later on in the video, coming to a conclusion as to what we can put in place to close the gaps and assist with the teaching or learning process for economically disadvantaged students. In video one, I did present the fact that we were focusing on fifth grade math scores. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to continue with fifth grade math and see if we can come up with an idea or two that we can use to assist teachers or students in the learning process, and fill in these gaps and create greater levels of student achievement. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll be looking forward to speaking to you again Video 3. This is Dion Ison once again, fourth grade teacher signing off from Savannah Lakes Elementary School in Rocheron, Texas. See you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, do y'all remember me from video 1? This is Dion Ison again. We're here for video 2. As you can see, our panel has changed just a little bit. Our other 2 members, Ms. Korpowicz and Ms. Sanchez, have some other obligations, so they weren't able to attend today. But I am Dion Ison. I am in the 5398 practicum for principal certification at Lamar University. And I'm here with my esteemed colleagues, starting to my right.
Robert Stewart, 4th grade ELA.
And Caleb Hilburn, 5th grade math.
Yes, and we're here and we're going to be talking about economically disadvantaged students at Savannah Lakes Elementary School in Rocheron, Texas, and how they're performing on START assessments and what we can do to fill in those gaps to improve student achievement. However, on this particular video, or at this meeting, we're going to be talking about ways that we can actually put it into action to, share some ways that teachers and students can actually close those gaps. So we're going to end this actual meeting with an activity that we can take back to the teachers so that we can get the ball rolling with some improvement. So before we get started, though, let's kind of recap. Let's talk about the school where we are, and actually, let's back up just a little bit. Let's go over the norms. Our norms are here. We're going to keep comments constructive and professional. We're not going to name any students by name. If we have a student that we want to, let's pick a fictional name or cartoon character or something to represent that scenario. Number 2 here, maintain focus on the topic of the meeting, economically disadvantaged students. We're not going to veer off. Let's stay on the topic, and most of all, be positive, and let's have a great meeting, and let's come up with some solutions that we can help our learning community with. So we're here at Savannah Lakes Elementary School in Rocheron, kind of a fringe rural school. One side we have these nice, beautiful houses with green grass and nice backyards, people walking their dogs. And then on the other side, we have trailer parks, which will look, if you look at the community, it looks economically disadvantaged. We have some great kids there, some great families who need support, just like anybody else. And so those are the students that we're talking about. We're at a school where there are 772 students, of which about 440 of them are economically disadvantaged, which adds up to about 54%, 57% economically disadvantaged, free or reduced lunch. What is your interaction? How is your interaction with an economically disadvantaged student on a daily basis? And are those gaps evident when you speak to them or when you interact with them in class? How do you interact with these students here at Savannah Lakes? Either one can
Well, I've been teaching at a Title I school most of my career. So I really don't have anything to compare it to as far as Title I school. I would say, particularly here at Savannah Lakes, parental support is very good.
Yeah.
At other Title I schools, not so much, because our parents have so many responsibilities and such. So parental support here just happens to be good. With the kiddos, I would definitely think there's not much of a difference. I know a lot of our students need motivation in order to be able to be engaged in the learning process consistently. So I know at the campuses that I've been at, and specifically here at Savannah Lakes, we incentivize everything as far as having shine bugs, and we just really believe in positive reinforcements. So those positive reinforcers really help our kids stay engaged consistently throughout the learning process for reading and math or whatever subject.
Right.
So that's one big thing. And then I know we have to do a lot. We do a lot to just keep parents and students engaged every day.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. We have to really just learn to redirect positively and do other things just to kind of make sure that they're just motivated and on task.
Right.
Yeah, and I think going along with what you said, how we have students who in the same classroom, some students who may live in a $500,000 house.
Right.
And on the same side, students who maybe didn't have dinner the night before.
Right.
And a lot of times you can't, the students don't know the difference between who in the class, maybe didn't have dinner and who lives in a $500,000 house.
Right.
And even for us, sometimes I think it can be hard to tell. There's a lot, even in our community where there are $500,000 houses, there are a lot of homes that are multi-family homes. So you have maybe 3 or 4 families living in the same home to be able to live in the neighborhood. And so, but like Mr. Stewart said, it's high amount of parent involvement. I also came from another Title I school, so I'd say that is unique about our school. While we do have 56-57% low SES, we do have quite a bit of parent involvement, whereas maybe in some other Title I schools, parents are working odd hours or nights and weekends where you don't have that parent involvement. But there is a lot of parent involvement. I think we have to be creative and unique in how to utilize that parent involvement.
Right. And what you all are saying is amazing, because I was thinking, you know, there are some days where the students are they may show more effort than others, you know, or they may show more effort than they have shown previously, and then some days maybe not so much. And I'm a witness to having to use a lot of incentives to kind of motivate the students. I think in order to see some levels of success with some students, they have to have something that they know they're working toward. And that goes directly to these gaps we're trying to fill. Like, so at the end of this particular meeting, we're going to get to the point where we have an activity or something that we can offer to the students, offer to the teachers, that they can put in place to improve fifth grade math scores amongst the economically disadvantaged population. So some of the things that we talked about at the first meeting were the assessment data. And we saw that Math Star scores for fifth grade students in the economically disadvantaged subpopulation, they were below district and below campus and state. Yes. And it's not uncommon to a Title I school. Overall, we have, just speaking in math terms, we have a 45% proficiency rate amongst math students overall at this school.
Okay.
And so it's kind of, I won't say it's a given, but you know, once you do your investigation and your research, you'll see that there are going to be some students that are below grade level standards. Actually, in math, we were 7% below this district, you know.
Okay.
So 52% for the district, 45% for the school. And then when we investigate further, we see that we have some economically disadvantaged students who are not meeting the standard in fifth grade math as well. How do you think attendance works into that? Knowing that we have about a 96% attendance rate, do you feel like attendance has something to do with that deficit?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we even here at Savannah Lake, we even incentivize attendance.
Yeah.
We have attendance, celebrations, and other things. So I do have a few students who I feel their attendance and tardiness affects their grades and it affects their achievement overall. A lot of the students, like you said, sometimes parents may say vacation, there's a lot of illnesses. We really don't know what a economically disadvantaged student and family may be going through.
Right.
So we may get vacation, we may get illness, we may get transportation problems. We don't know those things. But I have a few students throughout the years who that I feel that attendance and being tardy just really affected their academic achievement.
Right.
So that's why we incentivize, you know, we do other things to try to make sure that they can catch, to not miss. And if they do miss, then that's why we have our tutorials and other interventions and systems in place to make sure that they can catch up, because that's what we have to do for our ED.
Right. And I think it's important that with those things that we do, such as the attendance or other initiatives that we do to try to get kids on campus, it's important for the parents to know that these things exist. Yeah. You know, because if they don't, they won't. The kids don't drive. They don't drive the bus. They don't drive cars. Yeah. They walk. They ride their bikes. So we're expecting the kids to be here on time, but then we also have to hold the parents accountable, even if it's not, you know, getting your child here. If we can, you know, help with the carpool or figure those things out. You know, parents, you know, we got to stay in contact with our stakeholders to see if we can support these families. Yeah. What is your take on that?
Yeah, same as Mr. Stewart. I think there's definitely a handful of students who their attendance or tardiness prohibits them from making the growth that they would if they were in class, you know, an adequate amount of time. And I think a lot that I see probably is tardiness. You know, we have students show up 8:30, 8:40, 8:50 into 9 o'clock, which when you're losing an hour of instruction in a day, really it holds the class back along with that student. And so like you were talking about, it's with these students, it's, you know, they're not driving to school,
Yeah.
they're getting to school,
Yeah.
and it's some parent, the parents are involved in that
Yeah,
decision to either be late or to stay home.
Right,
And
right.
so we need to
right.
figure out what we can do, to help communicate to the parents how important it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then we gotta look at those impediments that are stopping the parents, because sometimes they really have a legit reason.
Yeah.
For not being able to get their kid on
Yeah.
to school on time. So that's what I know in the last video we talked about, Ms. Silver talked about social programs that are available to our community that they
Right.
don't know about.
Exactly, exactly. So, you know, I look forward to, once I do get the capacity of an administrator or on the leadership team, doing that community outreach and updating our websites where, you know, the parents that are fortunate or the families that are fortunate enough to have Wi-Fi, or things of that nature can actually go onto the website and see what's going on and see the things that are offered. At the very least, get them into the campus so they can see what's going on and talk to our CIS personnel, and, you know, if they need support with clothing, whatever the case is. I know I had a student where this child was coming in 8:30, 8:45 because they lived out of the district, you know, and come to find out, mom and dad were divorced, and mom was doing this and that, trying to get the kids to school, and she just couldn't get across town in enough time to get her here. And so we did what we had to do, and the situation got better. Nevertheless, she missed a lot of instruction, especially those opening lessons, things of that nature. So, but having something like an attendance or some type of incentive can help. I used to say to myself, if the kids are here, they can learn. But I have to change that a little bit. If the children are here, they have the capacity, they have the opportunity to learn. Now, what are you doing with that time, with that opportunity? So in our professional opinions and using professional knowledge and our judgment, let's think about some things that we can do moving forward that would help this subpopulation improve student achievement, specifically in math. There's a bunch of things that we've done as a school. We've had math night, we've had academic events, we've had the Black History program, we've had a lot of things. So let's think about or dialogue about some things that we can do that we can offer to a teacher, or on the teacher side and then the learning side for the students.
I think, and you know, you kind of mentioned earlier, I think some vertical planning would be, really crucial. And when we talk about fifth grade, is kind of like this culmination of all of your elementary math. It kind of comes to like a pinnacle where you're taking the addition and subtraction, and now you're applying that to your division strategy.
Exactly.
So if you missed out on addition and subtraction, not only can you not add and subtract, now you can't divide.
Right.
We work with fractions, and I know in fourth grade you work with fractions, comparing fractions.
Yes.
Equivalent
Equivalent fractions,
fractions.
simplifying, yes.
So if you miss out on that, not only can you not do that now, but now you can't add fractions. We also multiply fractions, we divide fractions, and simplify fractions in fifth grade.
And convert from improper to mixed.
Improper to mixed. And so if you missed that and didn't master that, when you get to fifth, now all these other concepts you're now
So it compiles every year.
And same with multiplication, you know. And so I think some vertical planning would really be beneficial, because I teach the fifth grade math class and the sixth grade math class.
Right.
So I can really see how that curriculum builds on each other, and I can see how important it is to teach these fifth grade concepts. Not that I didn't know that it was important, but as I'm teaching these sixth grade things, I'm making connections. Like, okay, now I can see how this plays on.
Right.
And, you know, I also taught fourth grade. And when I moved from fourth to fifth, I was like, okay, this was so important because of this.
Right.
So you're able to see some of the importance in what you're teaching when you see how it's building. So I think, you know, if we were able, even, you know, first and second grade teachers were able to see what the third and fourth grade curriculum look like, they would be able to have these small epiphanies where they're like, okay, now I can see why it's so important that, you know, and we're trying to fit everything into a schedule. And there may be something that you kind of skim over,
Right.
Because okay, this isn't important to me in fourth grade or in fifth grade, and so you're like, let me get through that quickly. But once you see how important it is to the sixth grade curriculum, I can't skip over
Right.
that. You know,
Right.
I gotta find time.
I like that idea of vertical planning. I mean, we go down even as far as maybe first and second grade, and maybe even kindergarten, find out which skills might have been, like you say, skimmed through or overlooked or not really made strong amongst these students. It's going to travel with them and it just compiles. So now we have this layered student deficit as they grow up the academic spectrum, and that can cause problems. And once they get to fifth grade, we have to make sure that they have the skills that they need to get to middle school, right? Because it's going to be, and from what I understand, from what I've experienced, seventh graders, when they get some whole new math that they've probably never seen before, and they're going to need that foundation. So, so where can we start with that? But before we move on, what are your thoughts on vertical planning?
I like the vertical planning idea. I've also seen where primary and intermediate grade levels have observed each other, how they teach each concept. So I think some teacher observations would be good within each grade level, just to kind of see how each grade level.
So fifth go down to maybe
third, or even
third,
yeah,
fifth.
Third go up to fifth, second go up to fifth, or to fourth, just to kind of see what they're teaching and how they're teaching.
Right.
Yeah, so that can kind of affect how their teaching practices in the classroom.
Yeah, those conversations would be very important between, let's say, like a second grade teacher and a fifth grade teacher.
Yeah.
The fifth grade teacher tells the second grade teacher, "Hey, look,
Yeah,
I need these students to know this, and this, so that they can be successful." Even if it's just mastering subtraction, because when you get to those division concepts and having to deal with those fractions and decimals, it's going to be very important. So at this point, we have at least two ideas where we can do some vertical planning at some point during the school year, and then also have some teacher observations. Yeah,
we can also, and I know teacher observations can be a logistical nightmare of planning that, but during PLC, we can also, like, if we plan together with other grade levels, we can also share strategies there, share teaching methods and models and strategies there also, just in case we can't do the teacher observation.
I like that idea of doing PLCs as well, so we don't have to necessarily go schedule with the administration and find time where all the schedules mesh. So PLCs is a great time for that conversation to happen. Ideally before, STAR test, right?
Yeah.
So that we can at least have an idea of where we're going with that before the end of the school year. So these are some things that we've identified that we can do to make a positive impact. Are there do you have any ideas of how this could be rolled out, or who we can reach out to? What do we need for what types of resources are necessary?
Leading Forward has a great scaffolding document and professional development activity that's been used before, and they have a one-pager that shows each readiness standard and then what supporting standards in the below grade levels are under that. So that's always a good document to kind of keep from and to maybe use for PD. And then we can have our teachers doing, maybe at the beginning of the year or near the end, or when we come back in January, take one of those objectives and create like a question from the readiness standard for fifth grade, for example,
Right.
And then what would that look like in fourth grade?
Perfect. Right.
Yeah. What would that readiness standard look like? Supporting standard.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I want to write that down. So, I'm going to call this ideas for action. So the first one we have here is vertical planning. Between grade levels. And then we'll have, we'll just throw it out there, teacher observation. And then question types that are similar from one grade level to the next, as far as the complexity as they move forward. So
and numbers 1 and 3 can be linked. That's when we do the vertical planning, that's the activity, one of the activities that we can do.
okay.
Yeah.
So we have question types. Connecting grade level concepts, leading to conversations. Yeah, so that's perfect. So over the next couple of weeks, we will have an opportunity to roll this out. And so since these two are connected, it looks like we have at least two ideas that we could roll out. So let's come to a consensus as to what we think we want to put into action, you know what I mean? Vertical planning, of course, and collecting the question types. This one involves dealing with other teachers, you know, we'll have to actually schedule some things or have those conversations and get with our instructional coaches and maybe get some of this done during PLC. And this is something that we can actually, as a committee, put together and distribute to the teachers.
If you can choose maybe one low standard in
Okay.
fifth grade or fourth grade across the campus. Probably fifth grade so that we can drill down.
Yeah.
After, so choose the lowest standard, and then check out the supporting standards that go with that. Like that. Yeah.
And maybe to kind of take it, kind of in the same direction, but maybe one step further. One of the lowest standards in fifth grade is multi-step word problems.
Okay.
And so what I noticed was, when I involved my partner teacher who does ELA, Ms. Walker, when I involved her in with my APA students.
Okay.
Because with my APA students, there was no question whether or not they could do the math to get the questions correct. And so to them, they mastered all the math concepts. They can multiply, subtract, add, divide. So to them, it became a reading test.
Okay.
So it became a reading test, and they had to kind of decipher what the question was telling them to do. And then once they knew that, the operation was done. So Ms. Walker is an excellent reading teacher, and she understands word problems in a way that I do not. And so I've always kind of struggled with, we have an Alvin ISD problem solving model.
Right.
And you can go into 100 different math classrooms and see 100 different ways of how to attack a word problem. Whether square around the numbers, underline the words that are written in. Is everybody's got a different way. And I tried a lot of different ways. I wasn't as successful as I wanted until I incorporated Ms. Walker. And she can talk to them and explain to them in a way how to decipher this text in a way that I cannot.
That's a good. So
that's good.
For vertical and then interdisciplinary plan.
Yeah.
Well, those are two great ideas. Yeah. Interdisciplinary planning also. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
That'll be like, just like you said, a lot of aha moments. And
Right, yeah.
Yes, using those reading skills to actually navigate through.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe giving some of those math problems to the reading teacher, let them create maybe a story out of it. And
then she's able to at the same time use these questions to help support her learning. So I know she asked the questions, like she'll ask the students daily about math questions, like what do you know about this problem? What are you trying to figure out? She asked them a lot, like what can you infer? Like and so a lot of that language is lost on me, but I know that what she does works. And so I've just adapted kind of the way she talks to them, and it works.
Okay.
So with that being said, those ideas, I'm excited to choose one and get it rolling.
Yeah.
And but we can't put anything into action without an actual goal.
Okay.
We have to have an endpoint. We have to have some type of vision while we're working on this. So let's create a goal, and let's make it smart, to where we are being specific. The goal is measurable. It's attainable, achievable, and it's relevant and timely, so that we know exactly what we're doing and how to actually get there. So let's create this. Let's create a goal, to where once we roll it out, all the teachers that may be involved, the leadership team that hopefully will support. Well, not hopefully, will support the effort. So specifically, what do we want to achieve? So the plan is to improve fifth grade
multi-step problem. Do we want to focus on one objective? Or?
Yeah, just identify one objective. Let's say the multi-step word problems that involve multiplication and division, or
multiplication or division, because most of them involve either multiplication or division and either addition. So all multi-step word problems.
Right, so that's pretty specific. We know exactly what we're trying to improve. Multi-step word problems that involve multiplication or division. What is the, let's say, the level of achievement we're trying to get to? So, I believe we had, what was it? Let's go back and look at the level that we performed for fifth grade math. The students were at an achievement level amongst the economically disadvantaged students at 64% at approaches. Okay, so if we have a baseline of 64% for economically disadvantaged students overall, what is a realistic level that we would want to get them to in order to show that they're making progress?
75% approaches would
Okay.
be measurable and attainable.
Okay. Okay. 35%. Is attainable, so we're talking about an increase of 11%. How much time do you think we would need to witness that? Being that we have a couple of weeks before, not much time before spring break, and then after spring break, we'll have about a month and a half until school's out, up until STAR.
Yeah, well, if we do the plan, we have to plan first for.
Right. So you want to give let's say STAR testing is in May, so by the end of April, like let's say April 25th.
Yeah.
Around there, like towards the end of April, so that it gives us some time to review and check for understanding. By the third week of April, let's see. So putting this in action is really, I think this is really going to help teachers because they're probably looking for something that they can use, you know, going into the interims, going into the actual STAR test, and even going into the next year to help them plan for success and, you know, understanding what's coming to them from fourth grade. And it can even help a fourth grade teacher to identify what's necessary for them to be successful in fifth grade. So if I look at my calendar here, and if we go to the last week in April, we're looking at the week of the 24th through the 28th. Okay. So let's say by the 27th, we should see an increase of about 11%. Okay. If we're putting this in action with them.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, multi-step word problems that include multiplication and division are good because 95% of the problems on the test are word problems.
Okay.
So we're focusing on this, well, that's gonna help on all the other areas. And then probably 40 to 50% of the test has some multiplication or division on it.
Yes.
So I think this is a good standard to choose, and I think it will impact a lot of different areas.
Right, and then that'll lead to additional conversations with grade levels. What did you do in your class that worked? Well, we did this. You know, we vertically aligned. We had some conversations. So hopefully the next school year we can jump this off earlier, where we can see greater impact earlier in the year. And so that hits our relevance and our time. So yeah, that's the goal there. So we're looking at vertically planning, and creating these problems or identifying fifth grade problems that have supporting standards at the lower grade level. So what we'll need to do is have these conversations, and between this observation period and the next one, we will need to be able to progress monitor. So we have a few weeks to kind of put this in action and get back to the planning stages and hopefully get to a point where we can roll this out within the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks. And then, because my goal here is to see how this really improves the fifth grade scores, because that would be a good thing to see as they, you know, approach middle school. So really quickly, like in your career, where have you seen or what have you seen or done or witnessed to where an economically disadvantaged student may have gotten success from something of this nature? Or have you ever seen anything else that has been done that has helped some students see success who may have struggled throughout the year?
I think a plan almost very similar to ours that we actually, when we talk about rolling it out, we call them rollouts.
Yes.
And so once every 9 weeks, we got together. I worked at a 5th and 6th grade campus, so we always planned 5th and 6th grade together. 9 weeks, the whole day. We had coverage in our rooms, and we spent the day together planning out the 9 weeks. And in Alvin, the curriculum, it really from grade to grade is kind of the same. So you guys are working on right now in 4th grade math. What are you guys?
We're working on angles on a protractor.
Yeah, so you're doing
Yeah.
geometry stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing we're doing in 5th grade. We're doing geometry, and we're talking about isosceles triangles,
Okay.
which they have to know their angles in 4th grade
Exactly.
to be able to identify.
They gotta know what the right
isosceles.
triangle is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really, it really matches up. You guys do data,
Yeah, data analysis and reading dot plots and
and that
frequency
comes up
tables.
when.
That's next.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
we do the same thing. We interpret data next.
Yeah,
And so it really meshes well to where 4th and 5th grade, we could plan our unit and we could talk to the 4th grade teachers about what, this is what we're doing in 5th grade. So this is why your instruction is so important.
Yeah.
And this is what is going to be most impactful to your students as they travel to 5th
Right.
grade. So we had a whole day to plan out our 9 weeks with the other grade level. And at the same time, our team was in there with us. So we could plan with our team, do some of that interdiscipline stuff.
yeah.
And so, we saw a lot of success with it at the
Okay.
campus I was at. We were an improvement required campus, and with these rollouts, within 3 years, they had gotten off of improvement required. And,
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a tried and true method then. This is something that can work.
It was
Yeah.
very similar to this, and
Okay,
we talk a lot about. It's hard to make that work where you have a day where all your teachers have coverage, and I think what we realize is there's just enough time for the important, not just enough time for the important things. So if this is important, there's enough time for it,
right.
and we will find it and we will make it work. And so I think
Absolutely.
that's part of the planning process will be.
Right. That's excellent. And then I guess the other layer would be, okay, through this process, this is the instructors and the teachers in the school kind of facilitating this. So then do we also go a step further and do something to encourage the students to, once they get this material, once they get these learning opportunities that are coming from this format that we're creating, what do we do to encourage them to do their best? Because we can roll this out and then it fall flat because we have the students who may not be encouraged as much as we would want them to be encouraged, to get it done.
Well, just like, I know we always talk about as professionals, we talk about goal setting. I like the idea of having our kiddos set a goal for the standard.
Okay.
And then after they've been taught, if they reach their goal, then, there's an incentive involved afterwards. So they can go back and they can go back through their last math PDA maybe, small group and find all the multi-step problems that they didn't do well on and get a percentage of
Right.
how they scored.
Right. So data tracking their own.
They can data track their own questions regarding that standard, and then make a goal for themselves. Then if they hit that goal, then they get their incentive.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, elementary school students and just people in general, if we know that there's something for us at the end of an activity or a task, or we work hard, we get paid, right? We work
Yeah,
for
for
2
sure.
weeks, we get a paycheck. So
Yeah.
students' paycheck would be, seeing success or having some type of a party, or I don't know. But it's very important that we encourage the students to put their best foot forward when it's time to roll out new things that can help them be successful, especially 5th graders who are going through a bunch of growth, social things are changing, and they may not be as interested in school as they are in their social groups type of thing. So we have to reel them in and really get them to focus, which is why I like what our principal, Mr. Foster, has done. Prior to taking our reading interim, maybe about a week or so prior, he brought all the whole grade level into the cafeteria and said, this is where we are. He had the students line up and showed a couple of students in comparison to other students who represented the other schools in the district. This is where we are. So I need your help to get up here, or to move and show progress. And they showed out. They had they had a level of encouragement from the administrator that helped them propel forward, and I thought that was great. So I think we're going to need somewhat of that level of encouragement and support when we roll this out, so that the students are willing to, you know, put in the work.
And I think one thing, luckily, one of the many things that we do great here amongst our teachers is a lot of our teaching transcends the classroom. So we're able to emphasize the importance of what we're learning, not just because it's in this book or not just because it's on this test, but because it's important, and we're able to explain why it's important. And so I think that puts us a little ahead of the game as far as trying to motivate the students. Of course, we know incentivizing things will make it better, but you know, I think the more work we put in on this end, the more successful our students will be.
Right.
And I think you know, we can think of some of those ways to incentivize them and keep them motivated. But I think that we'll see the input we put in will definitely produce an output.
Showing relevance is, that's super important, because not everything comes with a reward. Some things like this is where you're going to see this in life, especially math skills. So you're going to see this in the real world plenty of times. So
my thought process has always been to increase or improve your internal motivation to want to do better. You should wake up in the morning wanting to do better than you did yesterday. And I used to tell my students, I kind of went back on saying these things, but I used to tell them, when you go to bed, when you lay your head down on that pillow, you should be smarter than you were when you left the house in the morning. Even if you learn 1 or 2 more things, if you learn maybe 3 or 4 more vocabulary words, or you understand your math concepts a little better, you should want to be better. And so that intrinsic motivation is very important. And incentives will be there, but if you want it for yourself, you're gonna want to turn out the best product for yourself. So so I think these are good. We've actually come up with some good ideas and some things that we could roll out within this next few weeks that will improve 5th grade math performance. Just to kind of go back and reiterate some of the things we talked about. Interdisciplinary planning, where we have the math teacher communicate with the reading teachers to kind of provide a context for the story problems or the word problems into maybe poem or realistic fiction or whatever the content is for reading, and put that in there so that they can use those same skills to navigate through those math problems. And also vertical planning between grade levels. So we'll have, let's say, a 2nd grade teacher talk to a 4th grade teacher, 3rd grade teacher talk to a 5th grade teacher. Ultimately, everybody talking to the 5th grade before they get out of elementary school, so that they can be ready for the middle school level and those things that they're going to bring. And it's good that you have 5th and 6th grade experience so that you can, even the 3rd or 4th grade teachers, this is what they're going to be expecting in 6th grade. So let's get on it, you know. Real quickly, what are some of the differences you see between 5th and 6th grade math that would kind of create the narrative or the conversation for other teachers? Like, so is there a big differential between those 2 grade levels where they have to learn anything different prior to coming to 5th grade?
Yeah, so I have a lot of on-level 5th grade students who just like conceptually and the way they think are capable of being in the pre-AP class, but they did not master the concepts that are required of them to be in the AP class. So it also, get in there early and making sure the students are receiving the instruction that they need and deserve, I think would ultimately allow more students to be in this class. For example, one of the biggest things we do in 5th grade math or 6th grade math is convert fractions to decimals. We convert fractions to decimals, decimals to percents, and we do it in it's the first unit we have, and it is throughout 6th grade math. We're constantly converting fractions to decimals, and you do that by dividing. Well, most of my 5th graders cannot divide still. And especially coming to 5th grade can't divide. So they could never master this first unit in 6th grade math because they can't divide. And it has not, conceptually and the way they think about math, they could do it. But they did not master this concept. And so, I see a lot of that. And so there, by the end of 6th grade or 5th grade, there are students who we recommend for AP the next year based on really just their ability to divide.
Right,
Wow.
Yeah, and I like what you said in the last video as well, when we were looking at the number, just the raw numbers of fifth grade achievement. There are a certain percentage of that are students who qualify for the sixth grade.
Right.
And so they're not showing up on the fifth grade
Right.
numbers, so that could kind of positively skew the numbers because the
Right.
kids are achieving a grade level higher.
So I have 27 kids in my AP class right now who, if not for an AP program, would be hypothetically 27 more scores of master on the fifth grade style.
Wow,
Oh, wow.
wow.
Yeah, so
That's a large
last year, 26 sixth grade math students, 24 of the 26 got masters on the sixth grade test. So let's assume that all 26 of those would got masters on the fifth grade test.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
26 more masters
Oh, wow.
Wow.
on your
Okay.
fifth grade numbers.
Yeah.
So those numbers wouldn't have been what they were as far as the.
Right, so if you, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's
Yeah.
nice to have the AP program, but it
Right.
does make your fifth grade numbers.
So that does encourage the students that are not achieving at that level to kind of
Right, yeah,
boost their
yeah,
performance.
and a thing in fifth grade math, all throughout fifth grade, they're trying to get to AP for middle school.
Exactly.
So if they're not in it now, a lot of them have the goal to get there for middle school.
Okay. So Mr. Stewart, with this being in mind, the interdisciplinary planning, you being a reading teacher, what would be maybe some things that you could suggest as a reading teacher that would be beneficial to the math department?
Mr. Hilburn spoke on one of them that Ms. Walker uses, and that's always inferring.
Okay,
Trying to infer and read between the lines for what the problem is asking us to do. For a lot of our kiddos, I know in math, the vocabulary is hard for them.
okay,
So using context clues and text features within the text is an
Okay.
important skill to have as far as reading. I think the text features are super important. Knowing how to interpret data is
okay,
also a reading skill. I know we kind of focus on it in math, but trying to interpret data and maybe draw a conclusion from that data also.
Okay.
So drawing conclusions is super important.
right,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, those things work.
Mhm.
And just moving on, just to kind of reiterate some of the things we spoke about. Teacher observations being linked in with the vertical planning. Just going in and seeing what's working in some teachers' rooms and asking them, what are you doing? Help me out. You know, a great teacher, I believe, asks for help or is receptive to
Mhm.
criticisms and trying to do the best we can, because at the end of the day, it's about the students learning.
You know, we did a learning walk. You remember that?
Oh,
I think it
yeah,
was our
you're
first
right.
year here. We did
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
walks, and it was quick, efficient.
Yeah.
You knew when people were coming, you knew where you were going. It didn't, you could do it during PLC time. It takes,
Oh, that's true. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
and so that, I thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
And it was, just kind of a smaller scale of an observation, more of a walkthrough.
Yeah,
Observation, but those were beneficial.
right. Also creating or getting the deficit skill or the skill that needs the most work in the fifth grade, and getting some question types, and then going and getting those supporting standards from those the lower grade levels to kind of have those conversations and see what we can do. So as we wrap up, I think that we set the goal that we're going to roll out, and we're going to use the problems, the challenging skill in fifth grade. And we're going to have those conversations with second, third, fourth grade teachers and find out which supporting standards can help with that specific skill.
Okay.
So that'll be the task that we roll out. And then we are going to improve on multi-step word problems that improve multiplication or division. We are going to try to increase from 64% to 75%, which is an increase of 11% by the third week of April, which is prior to the STAR test. And I would be so excited to see how this initiative kind of propels those students forward and supports those teachers. So we've been sitting here for about 45, 50 minutes, talking about economically disadvantaged students and how we can help them to do their best on not even just an assessment, although the data is from the TAPER report, which is the STAR, it has the STAR data, but just on classroom quizzes, even if we're dealing with exit tickets, we want to see improvement. We want to see all the students all around be improved. within the next couple of weeks, we're looking to roll this out. And we're gonna provide feedback. And when we get to video number 3, we're gonna have some information for progress monitoring.
Okay.
So once again, my name is Dion Eisen from the 5398 practicum course, right here in Rocheron, Texas at Savannah Lakes Elementary School. And I'm here with my colleagues who supported my endeavors thus far, and I really appreciate them. We have Mr. Robert Stewart, 4th grade reading teacher, and we have Mr. Caleb Hilburn, 5th grade math, 5th and 6th grade math, AP teacher. And we really appreciate that. Once again, my site supervisor is Mr. Garnett Foster, and we will be presenting this package of support to him to see if we can get support from him as well and the administrative team. So I look forward to rolling this out with you guys, and I really appreciate you being here for the last almost an hour, just talking education and economically disadvantaged students.
Yeah.
And I'm very optimistic that this is going to work.
Sounds good.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you
the
guys.
opportunity.
All right.
All right.